Hola amigos, and welcome to another episode of La Vida Verde podcast. We're back. My guest today is my amazing neighbor and volleyball buddy, Michael Blahut. Michael is an osteopathic doctor and author of this book right here, Everyday Medicine, which just came out. He is a father and a husband, currently living in La Ecovilla, right down the road. He's my neighbor. He's my bro. We're going to have a great conversation. We hope you enjoy. This episode of La Vida Verde podcast is brought to you by Maderal Properties, the Machuca Valley real estate specialists with deep roots in both the expat and local Costa Rican community. On Maderal-Properties.com, you'll find a curated selection of hand-picked properties, from family lots to stunning ocean view villas and even entire farms. With Maderal Properties' deep connections and local network, they can also go out and scout the perfect property tailored to your specific wishes. Maderal Properties, more than real estate, let's find your home. Michael Blahut, bienvenidos a La Vida Verde podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Michael is our neighbor, as I said in the intro, and also you just gave me this book, which is I'm finally got through some of it, and Everyday Medicine. Yeah. And tell me about this book, Michael.
Well, first of all, this book is kind of a culmination of a lot of ideas that I've had going through the path of healing and medicine. And I thought that, I wanted to send a message about how people can help heal themselves using other things than pills and supplements, which, may help some people, but there's so much more available to us for health. So I kind of built these ideas over many years and then started saving references and ideas and writing. And so it took me a couple years to formulate the ideas in the book. And then just like since I came here to Costa Rica, I spent a lot more time refining it to make it readable. So
did you read it? You wrote it here?
I wrote like probably 40% here.
So is it new? It's a brand new book.
Yeah, it just came out in the end of July and August.
Okay.
Yeah, so
congratulations.
That's been a lot of my intention about being here and wanting to spread a different message in health and healthcare.
Amazing, brother.
Yeah, thank you.
And so I'll read just the intro, and maybe you can kind of tell us a little bit. There's not the intro, but there's one quote specifically: "When health is absent, wisdom cannot reveal itself. Art cannot manifest. Strength cannot fight. Wealth becomes useless, and intelligence cannot be applied." And that is Herophilus, an ancient Greek physician. Why did you include that specific quote in the book?
Yeah, good question. Well, partly I really love history and ancient wisdom and just going back to see what our ancestors did. And we have a lot of references and a lot of material that we just forget about in modern medicine. And that idea that people, when they come to look for like a quick fix, it's actually more, from my perspective and intention, that we want to focus on our health and be healthier and apply like my principles, everyday medicine and lifestyle things, so that we become more successful in those other areas, like our relationships or financial. Even if you're like, I work 24/7, well, you won't be as efficient if you don't focus on your health. Then you realize your attention span, your memory, your ability to have conversations with people are going to decline if we're not able to use health as, a foundation for our life, which I think is, what most people understand is super important, to invest in your health.
Yeah. And so this book, it kind of goes through, the thing I really, really love about this book is that it's I don't know how to describe it. I've never actually seen it like put out this way.
Right.
It's all these really basic natural concepts that I feel like people are, we learn about this or that, or cold plunges or light therapy or whatever, but like you really laid it out in an interesting way that is super easy to read and kind of it's both scientific and it's based in ancient wisdom. Yeah, because like the tagline, ancient secrets
to awaken your innate healing abilities, you really go into like why these things work, why or how they can work. Yeah. And I also appreciate that you're like, look, this may not work for you. This is not a cure-all versus like some of these like charlatans who are like, if you do this every day, you follow my course, and you're not trying to sell. It's like it doesn't feel like you're trying to sell me on something. You're just kind of like educating me on all the different like things.
Thank you. Yeah, I think that was the point overall, is to I think when people know if something's healthy for them, they're more likely to do it for themselves. So if you say, sunlight, if you get out in the morning sunlight, you're like, yeah, it feels good. But why is that really important? Then if you have the feedback about, well, this is what our ancestors did. They were, successful. And also here's our modern science take of like, here's all the studies, which is why it took me forever. It says referencing really good studies about what we know, how this affects our body biologically and on a healing level. So when you know those things, like, oh, here's the evidence for these things, then it becomes more, I guess, powerful, or there's more potency to it when you do it, because you realize, and this is the connection between our mind and our body. When we think something's good for us, it'll be more likely to be good for us. If we think it's bad for us, it'll also probably be more bad. And so by throwing these principles out there, then it's like, well, if I know deep breathing is good for me, it helps me relax, it helps, take a deep breath. Why is it helpful? Because our body does these 10,000 different things as we're breathing that move us into a healing state. And if we know that, then we're more likely to include it in our everyday practices.
Yeah. Yoga and meditation, like, were big kind of upgrades for me.
Right.
And there's science behind that.
Of course.
But more than anything, it was just like somebody going like, hey, you're breathing, why don't you take a minute to focus on it? Like, because we're always breathing. Like, we do it without thinking about it. But if we stop and think about it just even for a second, like it's like the amount of just calm that happens when we bring in just a little bit of extra air it's like amazing how much even just that can do to slow
it's simple
down.
And it's something that we're doing all the time, so it's not like you have to buy some new fancy thing or go somewhere to go to a yoga class, although that helps, but it's there all the time. Just like some of these basic practices, like I said, it's free. Most of the time you can do things, they don't cost extra, but if you put the intention behind it, it's going to move our body in a better state. And the breath is like a really key aspect in our health overall. It's connected to so many things.
And speaking of yoga, I was reading that you met your wife through, you said before you even became a doctor.
Right.
And you're an osteopathic doctor. What does that mean for people who don't know?
Yeah, we can go down a rabbit hole of...
Don't go too deep, will you?
I'll go all the way back to the beginning in 1400 now. Yeah. So the idea is that in the United States, we have two medical degrees. There's MD and DO, and most people don't really know the difference. Like what you're saying, an osteopathic physician, the foundation is based out of medicine and then the art of putting your hands on somebody to help in their healing response, which is similar to chiropractic. And it came out of an era in the United States in the late 1800s where there wasn't a lot of good medicine available. So these doctors, this one main doctor named Andrew Taylor Still, he developed these concepts of osteopathic medicine, which is learning what is the body naturally want to be, how do you move the body's response with some hands-on work or the nervous system approaches for them to engage in their healing responses. And over time in the United States, that engage with the medical model that we have of the whole practice of medicine, from doing surgery to prescribing things and being a general practitioner.
So you can do all that stuff,
right?
And you have all that knowledge. You've had to study all that. So that foundation.
In the United States, the pathway is you go to a 4-year medical degree, and then that's a focus on osteopathic medicine, where we learn hands-on treatments as well as all the other stuff you would find in a regular MD school. And then we go to a residency, which I focused in family medicine. That was a 3-year program. I was in LA for that, working at a hospital, doing everything: surgery, delivering babies, primary care, and understanding all the aspects of medicine. Then we can take that and work for regular practice. You can work for a hospital, or you can do general primary care, which is what I did for a while before I moved more into creating my own clinic and my own practice of helping people on a holistic level, but still keeping people healthy as what we call primary care in the United States, which most people just want to go to a doctor and have them be your supporter and be your, advocate and kind of move you to a better place of health. But that's generally not happening in the United States anymore. It's just a quick fix, quick, in and out visits. People don't get to know their doctor very well. And that's what really bothered me in medicine, because I just want to sit and talk and hang out with people and get to know you before I can say, well, I think this will be good for you, or maybe that's not right. And that is really, really tough in the medical system where we have, like, I was in places where every 5 minutes I would have a new patient. And in 5 minutes you can't do very much at all.
Yeah, there's so much how your daily practices tie into all the
so much
mentality, like all the different things.
Like, I want to find out, like, going all the way back, how were you born, like what happened, where'd you live, and then someone's like, well, I just have a sinus infection, like, but it matters, like, so that's my problem. I ask too many questions, and then I determine, like, all right, this just isn't working for me. I need to come do my own thing, and just became more independent as a practitioner.
It's like, you think about, like, the village doctor. Like, you in our community, I guess people come to you for medical advice, or if they have an issue. I know I have.
Okay.
Like, it's like just for, but you, as you live in a small community, you get to know people.
Right.
Like, you get to know, you see them daily, like, oh, that guy's jogging every day, or like, it means he's probably got a general, like, or like, hey, that guy smokes a lot of cigarettes, or or he smokes a lot of weed. More likely.
Well, yeah, around here, which I don't know if some people say that's good or bad, but no judgment. But
no, not judgment. Just like, hey, but that's a thing.
You get to know people.
That's a thing,
yeah.
Right?
And that's how people stay healthier. And there's this concept, especially coming from more like Chinese medicine, is that the doctor was hired to keep the emperor or these, the people healthy, and if the people weren't healthy, then it's the doctor's fault, instead of the other way around. Although I don't like to just say it's the doctor's fault, but intentionally the idea is that I'm a resource or an advocate for your health, and if something's going on, then we can move you in the right direction. And that's my oath in some way, but also that's my sort of natural tendencies to try to help people. And so in medicine, where we're at now, it's kind of reversed. It's like, just give me I want to go to the doctor to tell me what to do. Okay, just take this pill and then, move on.
Well, no, like, what you're saying is profound. It's like taking the responsibility out, like, modern medicine takes the responsibility out of the doctor's hands more. I mean, in some ways it's like, okay, it relieves them from, like, getting sued or malpractice, for something frivolous or whatever, which I guess is probably the argument for that. But on the other hand, it's like, you're right. It's like, it's like I always think of incentives. What is the incentive here? So in modern medicine, I think this is why a lot of people question modern doctors, is because what is their incentive? If are they incentivized by money? Are they like, what if they have no incentive to keep you healthy? Because you're just another person that whether you live or die, they've got more patients to come, and so what does it matter?
The incentive is actually for the doctor they get money by seeing more people, and by that's why it moved to 5 minutes a visit, or like the average they say is 7.5, even though it can be structured like 15-minute visit windows. You actually get like 7.5. That's average in the United States with a general doctor. And so why that is, it's because of the economics. So when I looked at that model, there's a growing model in the United States called direct primary care, and that's sort of what I started this clinic, which is a membership model. And I'll see you unlimited times for me to take care of things so people pay me on a monthly basis. And I like that because I know these are the people I'm taking care of. They're paying me. They can call me anytime, which isn't always good, but in a way it just means that if I'm doing my job, you won't bother me less. And I had people that paid me monthly and would only see me once a year.
Right.
So, and it averages out over a population of a couple hundred people. Then I say some people see me more, some people see me less, but it averages out. And that model is really growing because it takes, also for me, I don't have to have the stress of billing and coding and all the stuff with insurances that doctors stress most about in the United States. It's such a stressor. It's something like 60% of the job is dealing with writing notes and sending bills, and you don't even get to practice medicine. So I think that's shifting right now, but it's a great concept. It's like a membership model. You pay someone and they do their job, and actually if I'm doing my job, then there's less stress for me too, as much as it is for my patients.
I really like that idea. And just curious, are you still like seeing those patients like telemedicine
So right
style,
now,
or?
yeah, I closed at my in-person clinic in the United States, and I just do telemedicine, which is I changed to just a one-off visit. You need me, I help you, you pay me for my time, and then we can decide what you want to do. You need to follow up. So right now, that's how I, maintain my economics, is just working online with my patients, just one-on-one when they need me, and it's starting to spread more around the United States. I have technically medical license in different states where I can see people. So
that's cool.
That's where it helps me to be here, actually. So
okay,
yeah.
So that's Michael the doctor, and I'm really curious more. We could do probably a whole episode on osteopathy, because I just think it's like the MD versus the DO. It's like I think people kind of put the MD on a pedestal in a way, and like it seems like for like me, like a DO feels like more
It's actually came out of more of like the helping the body become healthy and focus on the natural remedies, but that moved over time. So we kind of merged in these baskets now, where DOs, most of them don't practice like we used to like 100 years ago. And I purposely love that model because I do a lot of hands-on work with people by doing, osteopathic treatments and cranial sacral work, which is where, if you've heard of cranial sacral, it came out of the osteopathic profession. Of understanding there's these subtle flows in the body and deeper connections in the nervous system.
Right. Katie, my partner, is studying nervous system. She's been good doing her like biophysiology stuff for her naturopathic nutrition course. And she was showing me like the whole, like all the brain, like why I now understand how craniosacral works is because you have all these nerves that are coming out of the back of your skull, so it's not just like a neck massage.
No.
I always kind of saw it as like, oh, you're just like energy healing, holding my head or whatever. But
it's like a really deep science, and I think most people, because it's so subtle, that you might not feel as profound as someone's like pressing into you or super stretching you, but the subtleness is really where the power lies, because when the body is not forced to do something, it responds more in a healing way. It's not always the case, but that's why I like cranial sacral, because also it's connected to everything. Yeah, it's really, I think, a powerful treatment.
Okay.
Yeah.
So did you start with craniosacral? Like, is that kind of like the hands-on stuff?
Actually, this is an interesting story, and I was telling someone the other day, but when I was just getting out of high school and going to college, I needed to get a job. So I was like, all right, I like learning stuff. So I found this bookstore, and it turned out to be like a metaphysical, healing arts bookstore. And, when I applied to ask for like my astrology to see if I could work there, which I hadn't no clue about. So I was like 18. And when I was there, I met so many interesting healers, psychics. Like the guy who owned it was a psychic detective, and I never heard all this. So I was like listening to him talk, and then I took courses in Reiki and like all these alternative things to it started me being interested in health and actually the power we have for healing. So I really started with hands-on touch and Reiki, and then, it moved throughout the years of me, studying yoga and Chinese medicine. Mosquito.
They're everywhere.
Yeah.
He's
the bees, they like my scent.
Bugs are everywhere. Okay,
but
so
for sure, it came out of my interest of how to, work with health. Yeah.
And I was reading that you were I know we're jumping around.
Yeah,
you were in LA teaching yoga. What brought you? So okay, let's actually go back. No. I'm sorry. I want to start at the beginning. You're from Virginia.
I was born in San Diego.
San Diego.
Yeah.
Oh, you were born in San Diego.
San Diego.
Okay.
So my mom's from San Diego. My dad's from New Jersey. And I was born there, but I was probably a few months old when they moved. And I have all these old stories like, my dad threw us in the back of a van. We went to Ohio. We went to Texas. We lived in different places until most of the time was in Virginia, in Northern Virginia area, where I grew up most of my life. And that was...
What did your parents
My
do?
dad was in the Air Force, and then he got out, but then kept the mentality, I guess, of moving. And then he was a contractor for the Pentagon as helping with data systems, and he worked on the old mainframe computer. So in the sort of 2000-year crisis, he was the one in charge of helping to back up all the data so that they thought all these computers were going to crash. And that didn't happen, but it was a real idea. Thanks for flicking me.
Sorry, that was... That guy
good.
he looked like one of the danger ones.
I
so.
kind of let them be and then see what happens, but it is somewhat annoying.
If it's one I think is like suspected to be
Yeah.
a biter one,
You can slap me in the head too.
Yeah.
If you wake me up.
Is your dad still
Yeah.
alive?
Yeah, my parents separated when I was younger, I guess when I was like a teenager.
Okay.
But my dad lives in New Jersey and my mom lives in Virginia.
I met your mom.
You did, yeah,
she's an
several times.
herbalist, right?
Yeah, we kind of grew up with she mostly brought this idea of doing things at home, making our own remedies. She like sewed her own clothes. We always had a garden, and that's where I was just attracted to be out, and no one had to ask me to like, hey, the squash needs to be picked. I was like checking it every day and waiting. So I was just naturally inclined to like be in that world. But yeah, my mom learned over time because she's really sensitive to chemicals and toxins, and we all are, but she just had such a huge response that it's like, oh, we can't get this detergent, we gotta read the ingredients. So I really give her a lot of credit.
So your dad was a techno Air Force guy, and your mom was a hippie. Basically.
Pretty much. I mean, California, San Diego, I guess you can think of it in the 60s and 70s, what it was like there. So,
Okay, so you were born in San Diego. Okay, grew up in Virginia. And where did you go to college?
In Richmond at VCU.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's
a big art school, and I study environmental science, so I went there because I love being outside and working in environment. And so that was my original degree, and just try to understand ecology. And after that, I went to the Peace Corps, and I was working in Fiji doing environmental management, coral reef restoration. And that's when I got in touch with these like permaculture farms and other people that were trying to come up with how do you help the environment in a better way, which also affects our health. And that really inspired me because I realized I love being outside, but I felt like it was futile because the problems are because of people. So I felt like, what am I doing? I can plant 500 trees, you can do all these things, but then people keep repeating this pattern, buying crappy food and burning Coca-Cola bottles. And it's just like this sort of modern problem we have with humans being disconnected from nature. And my thought was leaving the Peace Corps is like I wanted to do something else. I didn't know I was going to go into health and medicine, but after that I worked on, like, I studied yoga and Chinese medicine, Ayurveda, because I was just interested in that, like, whoa. And then I realized I love working with people, that's how we move this planet together in a better place, is if the people mostly are making better choices.
Interesting. You're right. Yeah, it's humans.
Humans
are the problem.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so, and that led to you being in LA teaching yoga, and you met.
Yeah, I met my wife there, and she was visiting from Italy at the time. And I worked at this place, which actually ties into a couple people that are here. Himalaya was at this place. It was Exhale Center for Sacred Movement. And I just walked by and I saw we need someone to work behind the front desk. And I applied for this position. They're like, you don't know too much about yoga, but we need a guy, number one, because there's just like, it's good to have
we need a handsome, young, strapping lad.
At the time, I had hair like yours. It was like down to there. So it was like irresistible for most people. Like, you need to work here. I'm like, thank you. But the thing is, like, I was so supported by being there that shifted like my whole life. And of course, like, I got more into doing like every yoga class possible, every training I was assisting in a way that, like, hey, you need someone to clean the floor, or you need someone to fold up the yoga mats at the end. Like, if I can be part of the training and then just offer that for you. And so because I had no money at the time, and many of the teachers let me, cat sit or dog sit when they were out of town. So I was staying in their houses and becoming really connected to the community in LA, which was, it's like one of the meccas in the United States for yoga and kirtan and I don't know, Himalaya, I saw her come in and out, and actually Star, was in that area at the time. And
I knew Star during that time too.
Yeah, we're like, how do we know each other? And like, oh, it must have been because of this place. And Shiva Ray was a yoga teacher there. And so anyway, that inspired me, and I met Roberta through the training, and then she went back to Italy and we stayed in touch, and she had her own health issues at the time. And I said, come back to California and stay and just like heal. And just connect with other people that were good at alternative medicine. And from that story of her like healing from her own autoimmune diseases, it really inspired me to keep on the path of health and medicine and just keep learning things.
Okay. Yeah. So you helped her heal her that's what I was reading. Basically the first part of the first chapter is like you helped her heal her autoimmune disorder through. You said she was skeptical of kind of Western medicine,
Right.
like what they were telling her,
Right.
which you should be. In fact, I was just talking to someone else the other day, like a friend of mine long time ago was like, the doctors, he had a gallbladder issue, gallstones,
Right.
and Western medicine goes to like, let's just cut out your
cut it out.
gallbladder.
Yeah, cut it out. It probably isn't doing anything good for you. And
But
Yeah.
he was like, I don't think I want you to cut out my gallbladder.
Right.
So he went and like looked up, there's this old liver gallbladder flush
yeah,
by
yeah.
Hulda Clark. Hulda Clark,
Yep.
she published it a long time
Right.
ago.
Yep.
And you can just look it up online, and it's like, hey, it's a detox. It's just a detox, and it takes like 2 days.
Couple days. Yeah.
And 2 days later, he completely had flushed out all of his gallstones. He was completely fine, and the doctor was like, "It's a miracle. It's amazing.
Yeah,
what
yeah,
happened?"
yeah.
And he's like, "Why would you not have prescribed that before you decided you wanted to cut out my freaking gallbladder?"
They just don't know. I mean, we're not taught that, and then it takes a lot to go into investing and going down into researching what actually helps people. And I was lucky enough that I was curious about those things before going to medical system, so I knew those existed before, and then I got entrenched in the typical medical system, so I can see it's just not taught, and it's not really incorporated. And so all these things are available actually to us from naturopathic remedies. The ancient, that sort of gallbladder flush, is like an old way of how they help to do things. And like, hey, if there's not that much risk involved, you can try some things before you go to the big guns. And that really has been my model, to not like get rid of all this Western medicine or the typical approach, but that you can do things before things get worse. Or like, do you need antibiotics all the time? No, there's so many things you can do before it gets bad that your body has the right response to. So it's just about...
And sometimes you have the nuclear option, which is antibiotics.
Yeah, sometimes those are cases...
the best case.
You're like, do you want to die or do you want antibiotics? Well, in that case, I'll take some antibiotics. Or like, hey, I'm not feeling great. How do I help this before it gets to the point I need antibiotics? Well, there's other things. So we just, most of the time in medicine, you consult with a doctor and say, oh yeah, just take antibiotics. And it's like, well, there are other options for sure.
Well, and I'll mention I have my dad here.
All right.
This is my dad's birthday.
Dad, yeah.
Dad, Stephen Michael Donowick. He would have been 72 today. And I have this is just a little bit of like a little tiny urn. It probably has some dust from his ashes because I actually planted it underneath the macadamia nut tree, which I now have babies from, so it's reproducing. But
I like that.
The reason I bring that up is because he had colon cancer, and I learned a lot through that experience, when I was not into, I was super skeptical of the Western approach to things. And so I went and went down and helped him go through, okay, these are other possibilities. I'm not a doctor. I can't give advice, but I can read, and I read a lot, and I learned a lot from other people's stories and things. And, basically I think kind of the takeaway I got from it is there are extreme ways, if you get something like cancer, for instance, that you can approach it that aren't, what do you call it? Chemo and radiation, which ultimately I still believe to this day that's what killed him, because, I was reading up and they're like, not doing anything sometimes is better than doing chemo and radiation, because if it doesn't work, it'll probably kill you faster.
You have all those side effects.
So that's what I was reading. And, just realizing it really has a lot more to do with general lifestyle choices. By the time cancer is detectable in your body, you're already at a disadvantage.
Yep.
So it's really not about waiting until this is, and I guess this is your kind
of
there you your whole approach is
Segue.
Don't wait till you're sick to come to me to do something. It's about everyday choices that you make.
Right.
And how you are living your life that are going to determine what your, longevity. And that doesn't mean you're never going to get cancer if you do yoga, whatever. I'm just saying, in general, he was like, okay, I'm gonna start eating organic food, and I'll start taking this cannabis thing, and I'm like that.
Yeah,
You
it's
know,
hard to unravel.
He wanted to
years.
he was like slowly starting to
Oh, okay.
open at the
Yeah.
very end, and I was like,
Yeah.
oh, Dad, if only you had done this 15 years ago.
Do you feel like there's things that you could see in his lifestyle that contributed to that?
I mean, yeah, he was
probably.
high stress,
Yeah.
cigarettes. He didn't smoke a lot, but he smoked a little bit, you know, but almost his whole life. And, you know, he was a pretty big meat and potatoes guy, you know, not a big salad fan. So diet. Yeah, I mean, you know, I also think emotional, like, you know, my father was, he had a traumatic experience when he was young. His parents died very traumatically.
Oh, yeah.
And I think he probably never truly, you know, emotionally processed all that. And so I also think, you know,
Yeah, definitely.
all those things,
Oh, yeah.
you know.
I think when we look at the studies about how these things occur, that we underrate how much emotional, mental, and stress is involved in disease, especially, I mean, cancer is a big one. It's like we're exponentially increasing the cancer, but I think medicine in general doesn't help you to address those main areas of your health, like the physical, mental, emotional. You know, we are all connected at all times, even on a spiritual level. And people, there's studies called ACE. An ACE study means adverse childhood event. So people who have adverse childhood events, like significant ones, are more likely to manifest chronic health conditions, from heart disease, strokes, and cancer, diabetes. And these are like, they just look at who had a bad childhood and what events, from death to significant things, and then where you're at in your health. And there's a significant relationship. And that just means that our body's responding to this deeper part of our brain that is a stress that we're holding on to, that maybe we haven't resolved or figured out how to deal with. So then our body starts manifesting a way to remind us we got to deal with something. And I think that if on so many levels, if we can incorporate that back into our health model and this everyday practices, but also spending time to reflect and to de-stress and connect to people in an authentic way, intentionally. And that's actually a big part of blue zones. When you look at the things we have in common about all these blue zones, although, you know, the environment's important, the diet is important, but the most important thing are community and purpose, the sense of connection we have with each other, and the sense that you're needed in the world, or that you have something to offer, is actually one of the number one things that contributes to longevity.
And I guess that's why we're all here in Costa Rica, following our community and nature and fresh air and all the things that you talk about in your book, Everyday Medicine.
Yeah, thank you. I know it's sometimes like more simple than we make it out to be, because we want it to be complex or we want some super scientific answer. But how I see it is like we connect back to our sort of original blueprint, which is, you know, we're humans on this planet, connected to nature, intimately connected to the earth. And the more we separate from that, the more dis-ease we start to have. And I know you're really into yoga, and that's been, you know, it sounded like the things you told me are like really helpful to you. And I think we all need to find some everyday practice that we know is contributing to our health. We're putting money in that bank of my health versus just feeling drained and then doing something until we're super sick.
Yoga and my daily meditation. Because those two things go for me. Like, yeah, I can go a couple days without yoga, but I can't go a couple days without meditation. It's like my practices are like,
Where did you study yoga or learn meditation techniques?
Well, I didn't really study anywhere. I mean, I studied a lot of places. I took a lot of yoga classes. Yeah. I started with Ashtanga when I was on Maui, and then kind of like just incorporated kind of principles of Ashtanga, Vinyasa, different kinds of courses I'd taken over the years, and kind of created my own personal daily practice. I incorporate like push-ups and calisthenics involved, and meditation. I study with some Buddhist meditation in Northern California, but didn't really study much. I just kind of started doing it. Yeah, I actually had somebody who was like, hey, why don't you meditate every day?
Yeah.
And it's actually that you're asking me because my teacher, it's also not only, so today for me has a lot of significance.
Oh, me too.
It's my father, does it? It's my father's birthday. My teacher, Amachi, who is my spiritual teacher, my who I sit with daily. It's her birthday, and then also we had 2 deaths that happened significantly on this day.
Okay.
2 births, 2 deaths. Cycle continues.
Okay, I won't add any more.
No, I want to hear yours. Go
No,
on.
I don't really have much except for, when, these sort of cycles happen in our life, and then we start to see patterns. And I think that they're meant to remind us about things. And, this is like a time, my birthday is coming up, but I have this sort of window that I become like this full circle of things. And I look at, and things that happen in my life, but also that it's time to, how do we evolve ourselves on a regular basis? And, I'm just happy to be here with you and sharing the message. And I know it's super special to, talk about, what's really going on here a little more deeply. Unfortunately, that's, I'm a Scorpio, so that's kind of what, in a way, that what I connect with is just looking a little deeper, but also it's so good to just get to know people on a deeper level. Get to know you for sure.
Yeah, brother. Yeah. Well, we're running out of time, Michael. Is there any so we're going to do a course here at Finca Vida Verde.
Right.
Gut health. You're going to focus on gut health.
Right. So I know we connected about this, and I'd love to do a course about, gut health. How do we maintain health in our microbiome? And it's intimately connected to the soil microbiome and how, in fermenting foods. And so we talked about this. I think it's something I'm really passionate about. So we're going to have a course on understanding your gut health, microbiome, and then how to do things at home through fermenting vegetables and such, and bringing those probiotics back to support our gut.
And also soil health, because soil microbiome is actually super related and similar in
100%.
so many ways that we don't know. So keep an eye out for that. We'll be posting about that very soon. You also have an upcoming retreat.
Right. So with the principles that I kind of outlay in the book, which is, light as medicine, breath as medicine, movement as medicine, sound and vibration as medicine, and sort of intention and purpose. This is like the 5 areas I cover that I plan this retreat. It's coming up here in Costa Rica in Uvita, that I'm going to incorporate all these principles into like a wellness week where we practice these things, we connect as a community, eat good food, connect with nature, and just sort of reset our health. So that's upcoming, and you can check out my website, everyday-medicine.com, for all the details.
Everyday-medicine.com. Check out the book, Everyday Medicine, Ancient Secrets to Awaken Your Innate Healing Abilities. Where can people get the book?
It's on Amazon, and also I have it here. I have a bunch of copies. If people want to find me and ask for a copy, I can get you one, or you can buy it on Amazon wherever you are in any country, basically.
You got to sign mine.
I will.
I only take it if you'll sign it.
I got you.
Michael Blahut.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thank you, my brother.
Awesome.
Thanks for being here. So much more we could talk about.
Yeah.
This is La Vida Verde podcast. I'm your host, Matthew Human. We're finally back. We're going to start releasing more episodes thanks to our new sponsors. Thank you, Florian Custer and Maderal Properties. Thank you so much. Also, thank you to Eco Teas Yerba Mate for keeping me charged. We are online at Finca Vida Verde CR on Instagram. We're on Facebook, Finca Vida Verde. We have our new website. Well, it's not so new at this point, but if you want to get a hold of us, fincavitaverde.com. It's a great place to connect with us and check out what we've got going on. We're on YouTube, La Vida Verde podcast. If you like this kind of stuff, please consider joining our Patreon. We'll have some special patron, kind of behind the scenes stuff and extras. That's La Vida Verde podcast on Patreon. And I think that's it. We'll be back very soon with another episode.
All right.
Pura vida.